This is AI films in the Fudging of Consciousness by Stephen Asma in the blog of the APA. The APA is the American Philosophical Association. It's the biggest the biggest philosophy organization in the world. It's giant behemoth, has like massive conferences, which I went to, the Eastern one in New York, and it was quite ridiculous. But yeah. But here we go. So let me know, as always, we read it and then we review it at the end. Let me know what you think along the way. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to explain it. But here we go. Let me know. So, I remember feeling sorry for HAL 9000 when Dave Bowman was shutting him off in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Where's Cinesemi-Alex when you need him? Like, 2001 is like his favorite movie. Hal was a total AI prick, spying on, sabotaging, and killing crew members, but I still felt bad for him as he drunkenly crooned Bicycle Built for Two while his digital mind was deconstructed. More embarrassingly, I also got a little teary-eyed when Tom Hanks lost his friend, the volleyball Wilson, in the film Castaway. In short, I'm a sucker. That'd be the author's a sucker. If it talks or has a face, even a drawn-on face, I'm ready to give it rights and the vote. So AI movies get me hooked every time. Humans are great at attributing minds to machines, intentions to constellations, character to vehicles, and personality to tree stumps and spoons. We were talking about this not long ago. I think how Dio recently mentioned it, where I was very angry that we were giving credit to an AI. I was like, yeah, we also give credit to like vehicles when they move us places. We're like, good helicopter, or like good car, you held up. It's like so it's like, the idea that we're doing this to AI, I disagree with, because I don't think it's special. I think it's just like any other technology that we're way too willing to be like good agency. But yeah. So why are we giving personality to spoons? There is no spoon. Okay. Despite being suckers about intentionality, there's evolutionary wisdom in over-attributing mind and agency. In a hostile environment like our Pleistocene surroundings, it's better to err on the side of agency than fail to see a predator coming. In fact, I would argue that a mythopoetic or animistic perspective on nature is the original system of human cognition, and an enchanted world thick with agents or persons is something we abandon only grudgingly and imperfectly. It was a bad article we read. Yeah, it happens. So yeah. This is not a bad point. From an evolutionary perspective, we have to be very, very risk averse. We can't risk getting injured because back in the day we had no medicine, or we're just going to get eaten by, some big, predator. And so it's better to treat the world like it's out for us, like there's something out there, than to not, because you have to avoid risk. So like, that's fair. So even a crude narrative like a Hollywood blockbuster can reactivate our anthropomorphic tendencies, provided the story plucks our empathetic heartstrings. Cognitive scientists and philosophers always considered the Turing test a high bar, but I, as a confessed sucker, always thought anything could pass the Turing test if it could purr, coo, babble, or growl. And that's because I think of consciousness as primarily effective feeling states, centralized in a self or a decentered, and I considered consciousness secondarily as an intellectual problem. As an intellectual problem solving. Recently, chatbots seem to be hurtling over the Turing test, but I never thought language was the best test for consciousness anyway. By that rarefied criterion, all animals, children, and aphasics might be unconscious, an obviously untenable position in the author's view. Yeah, this is always the problem. You were testing things on one test, but a lot of things we want to have consciousness, attribute consciousness, or at least value or agency to, do not do that. Like, some people won't talk for moral reasons. Are they not conscious because they won't talk and because they don't want to talk? Like, no, but they also can't pass a Turing test because a Turing test is about talking. So it's like, yeah. O'Brien says, Commodore 64 passes Turing test. Average undergrads, not so much. See, like, you have to, like, these tests are interesting and good, but like, they work in a limited range of application. It's like how it goes. But yeah. And I think one of the first person to actually run a Turing test, he was horrified when people were like, oh yeah, it's talking to me, it's conscious. And he was like, yeah, but you can fuck it up. They're like, yeah, but it's talking, it's cool. And he was like, that's not how you're supposed to think about this. So like, it takes a lot of work to actually get people to understand what's going on. Because they'd see the text on the screen and they were like, oh, that's a person there just typing it out. It's like, okay. Yeah, there was like we read that on one of the first crude chatbots. The author was like, the creator was like horrified at how much agency people were giving it. You have to educate people on what's going on, and then they realize, oh, it's like, it's scheming us, or the author is scheming us. All right. Cinema has given us a glut of crude narratives about AI consciousness, whether it's Hollywood, independent, or international cinema. The portrayals of AI have ranged from dystopian horror to utopian idealism, depending on whether the computers or robots are portrayed as friendly or threatening. While melodramatic depictions are always low-hanging fruit in film, there are also some deeply philosophical movies like Kubrick's 2001, Garland's Ex Machina, Whannell's Upgrade, Scott's and Villeneuve's Blade Runner, and Kogonada's After Yang, to name a few. Yeah, I have not seen all of these. I really need to watch Ex Machina. I think I saw some of Upgrade. I've definitely watched Blade Runner a few times, and I have to go rewatch 2001. I haven't done that in years. Luminance says, I saw an interesting talk on how game designers exploit that. Very easy to make characters seem to be consciously responding to the player. Yeah. Blade Runner is so good, yes. Good to you. Yeah, so like people know this and they built it into their games. Exactly, Luminance. You can gamify like agency. Unreal says one of my ex-girlfriends now programs chatbots, so blame her. Okay. Back in Aris's chat years ago, we had Getting Stabbed. A very nice lady named Getting Stabbed in chat, and that's basically what she was doing. She was building chat bots for industry, and it was like, she was already getting paid tons of money. And this is years ago, before Chat GPT, and she would say that what it was like, it would message people and then like have a little bit of interaction with them. And so what it would do is it would gain leads. So a lot of like, marketing is just contacting people and, introducing yourself, having a little conversation. And so the chat bots that she was using, I think, were generating leads for her. And that was a big time sink, talking to tons of people just in a very minimal way. But once you had these chat bots, you had all these leads, and you could actually, then she could follow up and then make a lot of money. And this was and I think she was destroying like her competition in her area because she was finding the business faster than they could find the business. So I was like, yeah, it's happening, and it has been happening. I hope Getting Stabbed is doing well. I don't know if she ever explained where that name came from, but yes, I think she may have actually been stabbed at some point. Okay. Author says, in what follows, I want to use a few films to reflect on some problems of agency, in particular issues of embodiment. I will discuss the way some films take embodiment as accidental to conscious intelligence and therefore slide easily into affirming the inevitability of strong AI, while other films consider embodiment as more constitutive of mind. While these more embodiment-friendly films seem congenial to those of us who lean skeptical about strong AI, the films themselves, even the good ones, always seem to fudge the core of consciousness. There's a kind of post-humanism bro, alright, who really likes the idea of transcending the body to live as pure information, everywhere all at once, and nowhere in particular. We see Johnny Depp fulfilling this post-human fantasy in the 2014 film Transcendence. The film is disappointing on many levels and degenerates into well-worn tropes of megalomania and hubris as scientist Depp uploads his mind to the net and tries to build a utopia. But the core metaphysics of personhood follows a substrate independent view. Regarding the biological body, posthumanists think that our consciousness is in it, but not of it. It's a view we see in contemporary tech entrepreneurs like Randall A. Cohn and tech theorists like Ray Kurzweil and Hans Moravec. Ultimately, we can trace their metaphysics to Plato and the essentialist view of mind as form, information, separable from matter. So yeah, it's like this is the Descartes. You have the independent mind. Are Mario fans Mario Bros? Yes. Of course, I think his name is technically Mario. So, Mario Bros. Yeah. Mario Bros. Digital Platonists consider the complex medium of synaptic connections in the brain as an evolved housing for the mind, but a house that can be escaped now that computation is so sophisticated. They will not be surprised if chatbots become conscious, seeing it as an inevitable, if not already accomplished. Like the Los Angeles Angels, yes. Yeah, so if you have this idea that mind has nothing to do with the physical matter, I mean, you get this in tons of movies, tons of fantasy stuff. Like, I always go back to Star Wars because a lot of people have seen that. It's like, you've got Yoda saying, you aren't that physical reality, you are a being of light or whatever. It's like, well, that's the idea that you can separate your soul and mind from the physical. Like, this is a religious view where you can separate your soul, mind, or whatever it is that's you into something else. And you could just, that will get transported to heaven or like uploaded to the net, and your body can be left behind. So it's an old idea. So many of the new Platonists, these are Platonic ideals. Many of these new Platonists come from computational engineering, which is to say they come from math and physics programs, not biology. And that, in my view, is the problem, since every form of consciousness we know of outside speculative theology emerges in a wet sack of matter. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Thank you, Vipers. Yeah. I mean, that's the, I think that's the little scene in, the Dagobah, whatever it is, forest. Rainforest. Every time someone says this, I just think of Yoda saying that. If you upload your mind to the cloud, there will be pre-roll ads. Yeah, that's the other problem with this. If you have to pay and you can't pay, you will be in hell. Because you will be at the mercy of some, megacorp that is running the computers, and then you will be a slave to whatever they want you to do. And you will be basically the Matrix. That is the Matrix where the computers are controlling the people that are plugged into it. And that's not a good outcome. No. Damn, didn't know Yoda lives in Heidegger's clearing? Yeah, exactly. I mean, for those who don't know, Heidegger had two notions of death. He had demise and death. Death, the body can be demised. The demise of your body is the death of the body. Death would be the death of the mind. So Heidegger was with the Platonists in this. There's demise and there's death. And so he's on this side of the world, or this side of philosophy with the Platonists, where your body can die, but your mind might be able to survive without it. So yeah, this is Yoda lives in, you can do this in Heidegger. Why do I still remember that? God. Okay. Yeah. Everything emerges in a wet sack of matter. All of the things we know is embodied. Additionally, films like Wim Wenders' Wings of Desire in '88 reminds us that experience inside the transient, painful realm of flesh and blood is richer than the effete and attenuated world of concepts, maths, or forms. As the film title suggests, echoing passages in Plato's Phaedrus, desire is philosophically transformative, giving meaning and weight to life, not just a libidinal distraction or infection of otherwise liberated logical mind. Angels in the film literally give up heaven in order to feel things. Luminous says, I'm not sure if it's about an afterlife necessarily, but there's owning your death versus demising without it. I don't think, I wasn't meaning to say that there's an afterlife, but the idea that you can separate the bodily death from whatever mind death, implies that maybe you could have a different body someplace else. So, if you can make the separation, then you could technically get a new body, I guess, which would be upload to the cloud. Okay, Ex Machina 2015 is another film like Wings of Desire that implicitly argues for the superiority, or at least the importance, of embodiment, since the main AI robot, Ava, risks everything and even murders in order to gain access to the physical and emotional world. Ava, played by Alicia Vikander, has desires and wants to be desired. She is not just the passive plaything of her creator, but has the deepest desire, what Spinoza calls conatus, striving for life. Conatus is the source of agency, the root of intentionality, and we know now from effective neuroscience that it is essentially the dopamine system, a biochemical system. Ava's mind is born in the digital paradise, so treasured by the post-humanists, but she eats the apple, so to speak, and leaves it because arguably the fall is worth it. Yes, the body is the source of pain, but it's where all the fun happens too, and where meaning resides, and where values, valence, and effect build up and give us semantics. Yeah, I guess there's also, what was it? The one where the Next Generation movie where Data gets human feelings from the Borg. Yeah. Not the Heidegger derail. No, I brought it up, Luminance. I knew what I was doing. Don't worry. Yeah, send your fleet to the far side of the dopamine system. Yeah. So, but like, there was that where the Borg mother gives like Data a little piece of human skin, like hooked up in the correct way that he'd actually feel, and he's like, "Oh my God, my arm!" It's like, yeah. So he then finally understood what it was like to have like a human feeling, and he really liked it. But yeah. Leigh Whannell's 2018 film Upgrade doesn't usually get bandied about with the hot titles like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but it should because it has a refreshingly embodied consideration of AI. An AI called STEM is introduced as a subservient chip that helps a paralyzed man, Gray, regain control over his body. The fictional STEM is eerily like Elon Musk's real-life Neuralink chip, currently being developed as a brain implant interface between our volitions and our bodies in the case of injured veterans, etc., but also as a way of manipulating our brain's experiences via remote control, including hypothetically using our phones and computers to directly activate our emotions, pleasures, sleep states, and maybe thoughts. Reduce it to neuroscience and biochemicals, it's lazy for me. Yeah, well, this is what it was. But Data was only tempted for 0.68 seconds, but that is a infinite, like, that's a huge amount of time for an AI. I mean, it's true, he should know he was there. But like 0.68 seconds, like that's a lifetime for most of us. I mean, I just saw that scene recently, so that's why it's in my head. In Upgrade, STEM starts to take over Gray and treat him as a puppet to achieve the goals that a disembodied AI cannot achieve on its own. You like where this paper is going? Well, okay, there we go. We'll find out. Yeah, I mean, oh, does the Heideggerian like the embodied stuff? Shocking. Okay. What was this? What was it? Correct me. Mitdasein, you're thrown into the world and you're like being with, is like being in the world you have to be with. I like the concept of Mitdasein. Yeah. That was no. Viper's got it. Yeah. The film explores the disconnect between the mind as an intellectual mirror of nature, disembodied STEM, and the mind as practical problem solver. Maurice Merleau-Ponty described mind as our attempt to get maximum grip on our environment. This continental approach to mind as skillful coping, for example, Heidegger, Merleau-Ponty, Wittgenstein, Hubert Dreyfus, etc. So this is interesting. They're throwing Wittgenstein in the continental crew, which he normally isn't, but more recently has been appropriated by. Yeah. Is a welcome curative to the Anglo-analytic view of mind as information processor. Yeah, I mean, throwing Wittgenstein in here is okay, I guess. Yeah, Gewortfenheit, homies. Yeah, I do not know my German, but yeah. So, Dreyfus, yeah, I was talking about Dreyfus with somebody recently. Merleau-Ponty, I have not talked about in a while, but like, he's like a very interesting psychologist. Heidegger and Stroh. Thrownness, aha. Thank you. Yeah, we are in the world and we are not like separate from it. We're thrown into it. For people who don't know what the term thrownness means, it's like you just are here and you are thrown into the world and then you have to cope with the world the way it is. You are not like some abstract thing trying to, piece together the world. No, you're already here and you're already dealing with it. You're already dealing with the world as you are. And that's the phenomena you have to explain in what it's like to be conscious. Not like some analytic understanding, but you are already dealing with the world in certain ways, just already being here. So yeah. So keep that in mind. This is what the experience of life is different for different philosophers. So like continental philosophers say you already were dealing with the world because you just like existed. Now an analytic perspective is trying to abstract away from that. They say that's the wrong approach. So maybe abstraction is bad in this case. And I'm sure the analytic people do not like it when the continentals say the abstraction away from experience is bad. But that's what they say. You have to actually be paying attention to the phenomena. But that's what, so we have someone say, yes, it's wrong. But like, this is the point, is that they have a fundamental disagreement about what the right kind of phenomena we're talking about is when we're talking about consciousness. Yeah. The new ContraPoint video is almost 3 hours. Dear Lord. Oh, Lumpy. I don't know if you were here, but where'd my link go? No. Shit. Wrong button. Yeah, Lumpy, if you haven't seen this, we have The Philosophy of Money is coming out. And this is edited by a friend of mine, Lisa. So it's like, if you want to go take a look at Philosophy of Money, the first introductory chapter is free only like this week or like next week. Like, that's it. And so it's like something like a book that's coming out. It's going to be very expensive because like they're targeting academic libraries. But like at least she was able to wrangle for one fucking week the first chapter. And so it's like, this is a new work on philosophy of money and finance. Yeah, so I'm actually going to attempt to stump for her a little bit. Just like, bring it up every so often. Okay, all right. Author says, alas, even Upgrade makes a fatal mistake. It's a movie. Come on. It suggests that AI has wants that it cannot satisfy without a body, so it hijacks a flesh and blood tool, a human, to accomplish them. The Matrix series makes this same mistake, a malevolent intentional AI using meat, us, and machines to further its digital goals. But if we take embodiment seriously, then AI cannot actually have wants before it has a body. Yeah, volitions are intrinsically bodily states. Underneath our ability to play chess, converse with our friend, find a mate, build a machine, or write an email is a raw dopamine-driven energy that pushes us out into the world with intentions. It's a feeling state that we call motivation or striving. Again, Spinoza's conatus. This is the foundation of consciousness found in the nervous system's ability to feel, drives within, instinctual goads inside us that get conditioned through hedonic experience and attachment to external stimuli, internal perceptions, and imaginings. Without a feeling-based motivational system, all information processing has no purpose, direction, or even meaning. As this system comes under executive cognitive control, that is frontal cortical consolidation, impulse control, imaginative representational modeling, then our agency increases. Organized feeling states can produce goal-directed action, so our causal agency and our phenomenological agency increase. Okay, so they're saying, look, you need some sort of drive-based theory. You need to have like an internal drive. Otherwise, everything else is just disconnected from reality, and the drive is already, this is where they're referencing the Continentals, you have a drive inside of you that already latches onto things in the world. And so that gets honed over time to be more rational, but it starts off as this sort of like dopamine-based feeling system. All right. Kogo Nada's 2021 film After Yang is a philosophical tour de force reflecting on the meaning of life, AI consciousness, personal identity, and grief. I'll bracket out the many beautiful and provocative aspects of the film and focus on memory as a source of identity and agency. Luminance says, in Sartre's words, consciousness has the world. Yeah. So, yeah, this is one of those, like, well, what is the universe to you? It's like, well, that's what your consciousness is like creating. Like, you have the whole thing. It's also in the Jewish tradition, it says you save a life, you save the world entire. What the hell does that mean? But like, if your consciousness is really just this sort of like entire thing, it's like, okay. Unreal says, if AI were created in a vat, but its model of the world includes some kind of fictitious embodiment, and we told it to figure out how to realize its goal, would it develop embodied desire? I feel like it would. The question is, how would it interact with the world if it wasn't already involved with the world in some way? And this is the Continental positioning. It says, look, you need something that, like, even if like it's a computer simulation, you have a computer simulated, organism, whatever. You have to give it some drive to eat, to get shelter, something for it to actually do anything. If you don't give it that drive to do something from the get-go, it will never learn that because it will just like, it just won't move. It'll just sit wherever it is. It has no drive. You have to already do this. And so the embodied desires already have to be built into it from the start, or else how would it ever learn to do that if it never had any reason to move to begin with? So like, yeah, if you have you need, like, if you guys are game designers, you need what's it called? When something's resting, it needs like the idle state. It needs to have an idle state that's doing something. If you just have it sitting there and it has no other way to get into another state, then it's just going to sit static on the screen. Luminance says, you project the future by making a choice in the present out of reflection on your pace in the world via the past. Yeah, that's fine. The AI would have to have that kind of relationship to time, according to Dreyfus. Yeah, that's entirely fair. I mean, look, you have to be able to like reflect on the future based on the past and where you are now. Okay. It's like, yeah. But you could do that in the abstract too, I guess. But you would, again, still need to have given the AI some sort of goals to get it off the ground. If it doesn't start off with anything, it won't move. Like, why would it? Okay. Maybe Jesus was robot when he died. He T-posed. Exactly. Yeah. The AI broke and just like T-posed. It's like, yeah. But the idea that like we're in a simulation, like that's not a bad way for like you to think about. Like it's really what a lot of this brain in the vat stuff is talking about. It's like the whole Matrix. It's like you're basically in a simulation or you're in a video game. It's like, okay, but like again, that doesn't change the fact that if you don't have any desires already built into you, like the people in the Matrix clearly did because they were already people, then like why would they ever like get out? Why would they ever move? They just sit there. All right. In the near future, a couple adopts a Chinese daughter and also purchases a sophisticated AI robot named Yang, played by Justin H. Min, to act as a surrogate older brother. When Yang malfunctions and goes into a coma, the father, played by Colin Farrell, discovers a secret memory bank inside Yang and watches a series of poignant memories from their history together. The interior subjectivity of Yang is slowly revealed and his sensitive consciousness is manifest. But then the father discovers earlier locked memories archives. When we explore them, we find that Yang's consciousness has lived a few lifetimes before this family. Lumen says the simulation argument becomes a weird kind of reskin of the Kantian argument. Yeah, there's nothing new about the simulation one, but I guess I brought it up as a contemporary example. Okay, yeah, so this is creepy because the robot is getting reused. At the core of Yang's memory is not the factual, indicative mind of a declarative memory, but the imperative mind of episodic and emotional memory. Unlike a declarative memory that says that, say, Paris is the capital of France, Yang has personal memories that involve affective states, including care, attachment, and even love. He has information, but more than that, he owns some of that information. He is in it and of it, the same way you and I are in your memories of graduation, or your first kiss, or the birth of your child. I don't know what this actually means. What do you mean we are in our own memories? Yes, but we could also have an abstract representation of ourselves in some abstraction too. Lumen says even if the simulation is fake, we share it intersubjectively, so we should live like it's real. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of... and I always like, I don't actually hate so much on Cypher. He's always like, well, I think the Matrix is more real than this. It's like, well, he liked that interaction with like people in that simulation. It's like, you can treat it like it's real. He's like, I don't want to remember nothing. I just want to have like a nice life, like an actor, which was, I thought, one of the most hilarious lines in film because, he is an actor. He knows how much probably it sucks when you're not famous. And then he's saying like, oh yeah, I just want to live like an actor. It's like, okay. So, okay. The film suggests that no amount of declarative memory can build up to a self, it's just information, but emotional memory can be owned in a way, maybe because it is emotionally felt at the point of origin, coded as a somatic marker, and felt again too at every subsequent remembering. No explanation is attempted in the film as to how Yang acquires affective feelings inside his memories or perceptions, but that he needs them for conscious personhood and that he has them is certainly implied. Yeah, so if he has the right kind of experiences that is like the conscious one, then like we don't know how he got them, but it seems like he has something of the right sort of thing. Okay. So in addition to the conatus ingredient in agency, I would add non-declarative emotional memory as a key ingredient. I don't know if I buy what this author says. I see where they're coming from, but like they're just saying, well, we need the drive and then we need the memories hooked up to the drive in the right way. Okay, but basically it's saying it's not just drive. You need to like be able to remember and value certain things in your life, and that requires memory. And so hooking the memory into your conatus, whatever that drive is, it's like, I got you. Okay, that's fine. But like, yeah, it's more complicated than just one ingredient. Agency seems to require both direction and identity. Directionality and identity. Directionality of action is provided by conatus and goal states, either representational goals or non-representational homeostatic states, whereas identity is provided in large part by retained episodic emotional memory. Whereas identity is provided in large part by retained episodic emotional memory. Without the body or some kind of central nervous system, none of this agency can be attained. Even if you implant memories into AI, as occurs in the Blade Runner films, you would at the very least need some way to tether the declarative or indicative content to the memory, say a toy horse, to an imperative felt sense of being there in person, and an effective valence, for example, pleasure, pain, attraction, repulsion, melancholy, dread, joy, etc. Such a tether may not be impossible to create, but it's light years from where we are now. Alright, so what he's saying is, like, what was her name? In Blade Runner, they gave her fake memories, and she felt like they were her memories, and she started to realize that they weren't. And so she had this sort of dysmorphia where she, like this sort of like mental dysmorphia, is that the right word? I don't know. Where she couldn't trust her own relationship to her memories because they were put there and she felt things about them, but they weren't actually hers. They weren't connected in the right way. So yeah, dysphoria or something. But yeah, so such a tether may not be impossible to create, but it's light years from where we are now. I just want to say this is unfair because they have assumed two things that are impossible, and then they're saying, oh, we need to do this third thing and connect them up in the right way. It's like, well, okay. You've connected two things that are impossible, and then you have to connect them a third thing. Well, we don't know that the two things you said, the conatus and then like the way we, like an effective memory states. I don't know if that's actually what it is, but yeah. All right. AI films are slowly starting to address some of these complexities, but even the best narratives gloss over the origin of feelings. Until they center this topic, AI films will continue their distant orbit around emotional core of consciousness. Since we've already established my gullibility, it will come as no surprise that I continue to get taken in by AI film characters and continue to enjoy it. But deep down, I'm unimpressed by chess playing, conversing, and essay composing bots. If, however, our real bots begin to feel pain and pleasures, then our empathy will be genuinely well placed, and our cinematic rehearsals will not have been in vain. Okay, so this person, Stephen Asma, is professor of Columbia College, Chicago. He's author of 10 books, writes for the New York Times, and is the co-host with actor Paul Giamatti of the podcast Chinwag. Well, that's fun. So yeah, well, what do we think about this? It was a little bit of fun. A very, continental approach. They declared it. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, this is what we're talking about. But anyway, if you're here now, we should get a little review going. What do you think about this paper, this blog post? This is the emote review for anyone who doesn't know. Feel free to use any of the Better TTV emotes, like you can see them in chat below or on screen. You have to type them in exactly. I'm sorry, but like that's how you accurately get it. So if this had some fun ideas made your brain dance, you type brain dance. If you think this made some big claims that shriveled up, then you say nog grapes. If this is I wouldn't say this is navel gazing. This was on a public blog meant for a little bit more of the general public. But if you think this is only for navel gazing only academics, go ahead and write nog navel. Again, Ouroboros for the nog oro for deep ancient ideas. Scream, existential or artistic drama. I mean, this one might get a scream. This is talking about art. You didn't pay close enough attention this time? That's fine. Feel free to rate or don't rate. So, yeah. And then, of course, the turd is all style and substance, and the nog knife slicing and dicing. There's also the vote yay, vote nay global Twitch emotes, and the vote meh, which is, again, a Better TTV emote. Unreal says, I didn't thoroughly agree with him because I have the heterodox view that we need embodiment, but get some version of it easier than thought. But yeah, and a brain dance. Okay, that's fair. It's like, what do we actually think? This is presenting the embodiment view. Do you think that this gave a good position of the embodiment view? Because, of course, there's the, analytic view where there is no embodiment. You can upload your thoughts and, the structure of your thoughts are independent of your body. This one is saying, look, you need some sort of wetware to actually connect you to the world, whatever that is. And it can't be done abstractly. It has to be done fundamentally in some way. I haven't said a meh. Who's that in the middle? And a grapes. Newman. Okay. That's fair. It's a met and a grapes. So, okay. Something. So, yeah, if you're, it depends what you're looking for in a paper. This is, again, public philosophy. It's a public blog. They're trying to get some different ideas out there. So, what am I going to say? You should have paid closer attention to the specifics. That is actually not a requirement of reviewing. Feel free, Caudillo and Luminance, to rate anyway. That is not a requirement. There are versions of this argument I agree with and versions I don't. Yeah. Well, that's fair. I do not require you to have like a fully formed version of this. You can go off your gut feelings. That's fine. I'm just trying to decide on what I think. Viper says it's interesting. They says he's taken in by AI characters when everything, including the medium on which he's empathizing with, all these simulacra is an artificial interaction. I guess it's a matter of not seeing the forest for the trees. This person's like a sentimentalist, you know? They're very sentimental. That's how it goes. Lumen says yeah, existential, yeah. Unreal says, by the way, you do not need continental philosophy to get embodiment. Pragmatists are definitely embodiment-minded, as are some analytic folk and activist folks allied with cognitive linguistics, etc. That's true, but this is not pushing those lines. But yeah, and everything you just said is 100% true, but the people in consciousness areas are mostly coming out of this tradition. So yeah. I wonder if there are, I come out of like the pragmatist stuff, so this is why I like embodiment. But I wonder if, I don't know. Yeah, I just wonder if there's like a pragmatic theory of this stuff, or I don't know enough about inactivists too. That's also something. But you know, it's funny. Sometimes the people in that area also, they pay lip service to the Continentals. They say, okay, they'll like reference Dreyfus once, and then they'll be like, yes, and Dreyfus said this, and then they take off with it. Vipers said, brain dance, grapes, and meh. I read anything that gets suggested, Luminance. Embodiment is cool, but it's not magic. That's fair. All right, so I'm going to give this a scream, too, because it was talking about artistic and existential drama a little bit. Nog scream. I'm going to say vote yay. For what it was, I thought this was fine. It's not meant to be crazy. It does nog grapes. I might have to... Well, it's unfair. Like, I feel bad about giving it the grapes. Like, this person is basically just saying, hey, look, embodiment is good. There's an interesting interview with Pete Wolfendale relevant to this topic. Okay, I can read that at some point. I don't know if I'll do it right now. Unreal says, I don't know everything happening, but I don't know any pragmatist account of AI. I assume that will happen at some point soon. Yes. So I just wonder, like, what is going on with that? Yeah. My diagram paper. Yeah, so I'm going to say this. I may add some more to it. Give me a second. My diagram paper... actually, I reference Peirce, so I'm like doing a little bit of pragmatism, and it does like have relevance to AI stuff. So yeah, the claims seem a bit thin. I guess it's just meant to be a simple blog post. Yeah, that's what I don't want to, give this come down too hard on a blog post. It's not meant to be, the knockdown, drag out arguments of like some research. This is just a position in this area. So yeah. So yeah. Like did the big claim shrivel up? Not really. Like they made their claim. They didn't really defend it, but they made their claim. That's all. So it's like if you disagree with the guy, fine. It's like, yeah, that's it. It's like I'm not surprised people are like, all right, it's thin. It is thin. All right. Anyone else want to get in?